we've been doing this for the past, 6 weeks now, and we have been doing these webinars since last year. So you can go through that when you get your time. Our products and services are also there. I want us to focus on the content for today. So I struggle. One of the reasons why I actually want to share these experiences with you, I also struggled quite a bit. I think going to business schools also does not help, because I kind of thought that business functions were as per the textbooks that I've learned in business school, whereas actually business administration was not that. What I did find was that for me to run a business that is agile, that is consistently can grow quicker and faster without me having issues with people saying that's not my job, I needed to actually consolidate the business function into 3 main categories, which is business administration. And under business administration, it should be human resources, office administration, information technology, legal, and also finance. And these functions, we generally used to call them corporate services, or we'll call them head office cost. But basically is the functions that need to exist irrespective of the size of the business. But they are actually also a foundation for the business to be able to actually succeed. And they build up the systems and controls to enable you to reach out to the market, i.e. in business development. So under business development is sales, is marketing, is public relations, customer relations and services, plus also stakeholder relations. Again, as I said, when you look at those business functions that I've just mentioned under business development, they are mainly focusing on reaching out to the market, whereas business administration is very much internal focus. The last one is about operations, where you actually are doing product or service delivery, research and development, and also developing of the product. Please note, research and development is not necessarily the same as product and service development. And also you will have project management. There are other subject experts that have said, I need to include quality management on there under operation. I personally do not believe quality management system belongs there, because quality management is supposed to be across your organization in all business processes and systems that you have. So it's supposed to be embedded within the system. So we have tested these categories with businesses that will run from 2 employees to 50 employees. And it has worked. And because our target market is small business owners, we honestly believe this is the best way for you to customize and build a business that is agile. What does that mean, though, in terms of you building up your team for HR? It also means that when you are employing someone for HR, they might, and you maybe you have said, I need a administrator who's going to do HR. They might find themselves, they don't have much to do during the day. What are you going to do? So maybe you thought, no, I'm going to have an office administrator. They can do as much filing. At some point, it's going to run out. So is information technology, legal, and finance. I mean, in most cases, entrepreneurs don't even need a bookkeeper every day. They need a bookkeeper or some sort of activity being done in finance at least once a month. So you really have to think very hard as to how you're going to grow your business. So you can't therefore create job description or organograms that are actually going to separate these 3 things, because whoever you're going to bring into your business will not have enough work. And you don't want to have issues later when that person can tell you, no, that's not part of my job description. Or the other people can say, that is not why you employed me. So whereas we know as a small business, we do everything, we do different things at different times. By putting it and grouping it in this way, it allows you to maneuver and move around, but also you will know who's responsible for what. So as I said, we covered in more detail last time under business administration, other activities within it. So we covered quite a bit on office administration, explaining what that entails, even though that video did not go as well in terms of our recording. So we're going to have to rerun it. And for that, then let us know. We will send through. But we did send you guys the guide. And even in this one, we are emailing you guys the content. The team is going to actually put through even the link for you guys to download this guide. So let's just talk then. What is human resources? Kirsten, would you like to come through?
Sure.
What have you found as your experiences as a person who is, how long have you been running a business, by the way?
We've been doing assessments for 11 years now. Encapsulate is 3 years old.
Perfect. Oh, okay. So you changed your name then?
Yes.
Great. Because I met you earlier, you were doing some HR checks and stuff. You even did that for us, and also helped us to set up Competency Framework for my accountancy firm, remember?
Yes, correct. So that business was a background screening company that primarily did background checks, and assessments was an additional service. Now we focus primarily on the assessments alone.
Perfect. What has been your experience when you were designing your organizational structure for your startup?
It's tough because the startup has no money and needs all the resources. So basically, you're looking for people who can be able to fulfill roles across different functions and be able to manage with the complexity of different roles. So, when you build a business and you get to the point where you can have an HR manager and an HR administrator, that's great. But a startup or a small business has an HR manager who, as you said earlier, does admin and is a jack of all trades. So you need someone who can fulfill various roles. That's been my experience.
And then that helps because if then you have made the scope of the role broader, allows you to then be able to assign people different roles.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, and also to ensure that people are flexible and have the competencies to work across different roles. Because we don't have we don't have the luxury of putting people into a role specific to what to a small job.
Yes, we don't. In other instances, it's almost like even our products and services are changing as the demand is coming. So how can we be static about the resources that we have that are producing the results that we need to produce? So it's also, I think, laying out the foundation from the beginning with your employees, the certain culture that you must be driven by the customer demand.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. I'm trying to. Okay. Can I request again people to
Precious values.
I'm requesting everyone to mute, please. I can have a feed. Please, Bonolo, would you please assist me to mute everyone? I'm still having a feed. Thank you. Can I also just confirm? Okay, which is. So what is human resources? So human resources is basically a strategic approach to helping you build the capacity for warm bodies or people that are going to execute certain activities to help you achieve your goals. And in generally, you have to approach the human resources not in terms of what are the activities within it, but approach it in this approach. Your corporate strategy provides you with a direction on what skill set do you need. So it can't be that you set up a human resources function without having a clear first, what is the strategy? Because the strategy then tells you how your function will actually work. And I've seen also other entrepreneurs, they build their corporate strategy from just ideas, whereas they should be building up their corporate strategy from understanding that the way we measure the performance of the business is by financial perspective, i.e. the results of the business it produces. That is how we measure the business performance. So if that's the case, then we need to then make sure that HR as a human resources strategy is responding on, say, how are we going to improve performance? How are we going to improve the stuff, the things that we intend to actually achieve? If we have said 30 oranges, these 30 oranges, who's going to bring them? What activities is this person going to be doing to actually bring these oranges? What will be the key performance indicators for that? And one of my best tools that I like, that I have been using for years, I think out of all the frameworks, Balance Scorecard is the best in actually making sure that the organizational capacity, which we call it learning and growth in Balance Scorecard, is a foundation. Because as I said, when you are looking at human resources function and strategy, it's about you providing yourself the resources to be able to execute and build up towards your desired goal, whatever goal that you have set. We have a website that we have simplified strategy where we explain what a strategy is. Please go through that. We also have several other videos. We also have tools and articles that we post there on regular basis. If you are not clear about what I mean when I talk about corporate strategy and learning and growth, have a look at some of those articles and we will also share more. But the learning and growth, as I said, is more about building organizational capacity to allow you to then ask the question, what processes do I need to have in place that are actually going to help me to achieve the result that I want? From that, what customer perspective do I need to drive that will then give me those results? Because at the end of the day, it is about customer, as we had mentioned it. So you're not going to be able to achieve your financial results when you don't have the right skill, when you don't have the right processes, also when you do not know what the customer need and how do they actually want that product or service that you're offering. The other issue, though, that we need to make sure we build up and that understanding is that there are several benefits for a well-run HR function when it does run, that you can actually derive. It improves your productivity, which automatically also increase your profitability because it will reduce your overheads. It also helps you to actually increase the employee commitment to your business. It improves the relationship between yourself and employer, especially because as a small business, we are generally not trusted. And also it reduces the risk of employment relations, including the turnover of staff. It also assists you to establish a very clear strategy and the goals where you have your employees as partners so that when the goals are not achieved, they can also link it to their own personal performance. And there's a whole lot of others that I have not mentioned them. But what I would like to just articulate is that just remember that no matter how hard you work as an entrepreneur, your chances of actually making it in terms of you making money in your business are actually zero if you are not intending to employ people. You make money by employing people who will produce you the result. You have to employ people to work for you to generate the money. You have to understand that for you to build a sustainable business, you're gonna have to create jobs for others, not for yourself. So by starting to work on your business, not in your business, by building systems. Kirsten, do you want to come in on what has been your lessons on when you started setting up? I know you're coming from HR as a specialist, but what has been the tricks that you have picked up, and how has that contributed to your business? As much as I've seen that you did have some turnover, but I know certain employees within your company that has remained with you for years.
So as far as our human capital, okay, our business is transformed because the original business was sold and we've started over again. But the original business was built up to 20 employees, and they ultimately were the essence of the business. As you said, you can't grow a business without human capital. And investing in the human capital, I think, is probably the most important. It's unfortunately a cost, and we don't always see the return immediately. But the people in the business make your business or break your business, and that's really my learning. It's quite a simple one in terms of the value of employees within a business.
Thank you so much, Kirsten. Also then, but one of the things that I liked, which actually you shared, was the cost to the business when HR has been run badly, or maybe there's certain steps we have missed, and there's lots of cost. And there I've just put some of my experiences and some of the experiences of my clients. I mean, some of the issues also is overstaffing. So we get sometimes the financial statements of the business, we analyze them. When we start aligning activities and the role the person is playing, we consistently are finding that people are employed, but there is no, the productivity, the person is not fully occupied in that role. And there is no systems also or controls, supervisory controls, to actually check if that person has done the job, or even to report on how the job has actually been performed. And that is also because majority of entrepreneurs, some that I've actually met, they were entrepreneurs, they reached the entrepreneurship before they were managers themselves. So as a result, they are now forced to manage, but they have never themselves been managers or being managed. So as a result, you find all these discrepancies, that the resources is not matching the activity is not measured, and it's not also linked to where the business is going. And we also seen that the design, as I said earlier, sometimes the tasks are not even written down. Sometimes there's no proper orientation or training to ensure on how people are actually. Sometimes it's just, even when all those boxes are ticked, but just there is no performance. And I love this article that you did when you said, Kirsten, a bad hiring decision can cost an SMME far more. Please take us through that.
So the premise on which I wrote that, and I talk about that, is we often, as small businesses, try and do everything the cheapest way, which is not always the best way. So sometimes it takes incurring an initial fee up front in checking and vetting the right person to avoid a cost down the line. So there's been many exercises done on the cost of a bad hire. It's not always as simple as quantifying. It's not always the salary, it's the time invested, the 3 months that it takes you to get a person up to speed, to know your business, to understand your business, to understand the role. That 3 months is cost and time of whoever's training that person. So it's the training, it's the induction, it's getting a person up to speed. Those are just some of the small costs involved. And often we avoid things like a criminal check or the time taken to do a reference, or even from our perspective, an assessment. So often assessments are seen as so costly, whereas the cost actually is far lower than employing the wrong person. So where you speak about job match and performance, often people don't perform, not because they don't want to or not because they aren't trying, but just because they lack either the ability or the skill. They don't fit into the role. They don't function at the level of work for which they've been employed, or even there's not a match. So, a person who's in a role that they're not suited to is mismatched. And for both the purpose of the business and the individual, it's beneficial to have a match. I don't know if that answers your question.
Definitely it does. There are people that want to actually just raise questions. Bonolo, would you please enable those people to speak then? Let me know when you are ready. So who is actually responsible for HR function in a business? As a director, you are a manager. You need to lead the overall administration of the business. As much as it does need a skilled. Oh, hi, there's someone coming through. Please ask the question. Okay, the person is not coming through. Rather, that's mute. They should ask the question on a chat. Bunolo, please switch off the mic. Thank you. So as a business, you actually have to remember that you have to provide leadership. You have to provide guide and be the leader, especially in relation to issues of compliance. As much as, yes, you can outsource this function like any other administration function, you have to start teaching yourself of what needs to be done and when it needs to be done. And later you build the capacity on how. Because at the end of the day, you cannot monitor and supervise something you don't understand. And you also, I think one of the things that we actually start with when we're running a strategy session, we say to entrepreneurs, tell us what is it that makes you cry, makes you angry. And we will then ask them, what does that mean in terms of the core values that prescribe to that emotion or feeling that you have? And how can that be built into the business culture that you want to create? Because to tell you the truth, when you're bringing other people into your business, it's really about managing that culture. It's about managing the core values of what you stand for, because you created this business because you had certain things that you want to achieve. And those things that you want to achieve are also attached very close to the core values on what you stand for. So as a result, that is why it requires leadership. I said to one of the group that I coach on saying that core values is something to build up. Guys, can I request please to switch off the mic? Denise? Thank you. So the core values that you build in your business are very much things that are non-negotiable for you. Because those are your core values, therefore, they can't be the opposite of the culture that you want to create. You also, therefore, can build on those core values that you have, the code of conduct of your employees. And that is a foundation of why it has to be you as a leader, as a founder of this business, to set that tone. And as one of the teachers on strategy and corporate and business development, Peter Decker, said, our culture eats strategy for breakfast. because it's the culture that will then kill that business if you have not instilled it, if you have not drawn a line of what is acceptable, what is not acceptable from your employees. But again, as I said, it's a leadership issue. You gotta have to demonstrate your leadership first for them to also take a cue. I think that's also one of the biggest challenges we have as entrepreneurs, that the level of expectation of others must also match our own personal standard that we put on ourselves. You can't be expecting your employees to actually behave in a certain way when we ourselves are not behaving in the way that we're expecting them to behave. That is why also personal development, programs like this are important to build ourselves to be better leaders. Just to make sure also, Kirsten has created a great tool here where she looks at the personality of the individuals, and you can maybe use this as one of your first screening to reduce your list on your short listing, because it's also about checking, does the personality match the culture you want to create and the core values. Kirsten, take me through that and explain why did you choose that? There's probably thousands of test assessments. Why did you choose this? And you're very specific on saying that it's about the culture.
So the tool you're referring to is actually not one specific tool. So what we do is we refer to culture as how a business works. But let's go back a few steps. So I saw a question that goes hand in hand on the chat regarding what's a match for a company. So we first of all look at a person's match for a role. So let's say we're hiring an accountant or a financial person. We have what we call a competency framework for a financial role. So what does an ideal person look like in a financial role? An ideal person has certain, what we refer to in the field of assessment as competencies. So a competency is on a spectrum. You either high or you low. So we say we're hiring a financial person. They need to perform or have certain competencies to perform optimally. Let me give you a few examples. They need attention to detail. So I'm sure you can all relate. You bring in an accountant who has low attention to detail, there's going to be a problem. They're not going to... Sorry, someone's mic's on again. They're not going to be able to meet the requirements of the role. I'm going to give you a few more. Things like integrity, stress handling. If they're part of a team, we look at teamwork. If they're a manager, we look at their managerial ability. So that's role suitability. Then we look at things like culture and suitability to the business. So we get an understanding of what does your business look like? Okay, it's a simple business. There's me and my partner, and we're looking for someone to fulfill the role of salesperson. But I don't have the time to deal with the salesperson. That means in order for them to function and fit into the business, they need to be able to work alone. They need to be self-starter. They need to have drive. They need to be driven. So I don't know if you're following me. It all depends on the business, and we try and match to fit in with the circumstances that we're putting them into, which is different from business to business. Someone who's going into a huge financial corporation is a whole lot different to someone going into an entrepreneurial business. They also need to have an entrepreneurial mindset. As we mentioned earlier, we all have to be jack of all trades in entrepreneurial businesses. We have to be flexible. One day I'm doing sales, the next day the business says to me, we actually need you to do filing because that's the need we have right now. So I can't be someone who says, no, I'm not here to do that. So flexibility is a competency, and we look and assess to ensure a good fit between the person and the role, or what's required to fulfill the role to the in order to do it the best, and then how they match the business. Have I answered your question?
You definitely have. I like that, because right below that, we are touching on building up your competency framework, because that helped me a lot. Even with other clients, when I go in and say, okay, what are your main operations? How do you want to actually have people reporting to you? And how often would you have time to analyze the information? Because it's about also looking at the environment that you are putting that person to actually be operating.
Correct. And let me just add a few more things. So a lot of us hire entry-level people. At the entry level, we don't overcomplicate things. We look at things like a person's problem solving. Do they have problem solving ability? If they left alone in the office to run the office or whatever they need to do, can they problem solve without the assistance of someone there? You're running a business, you're out on the road, you're seeing clients. Do they need to phone you for every question that they have? That's problem solving. We then have another measure that's so important at the entry level, which is learning potential. Are you bringing someone into the organization that you're going to spend 3 months training, and at the end of the 3 months, they're not absorbing what they're being taught? We need people with learning potential. So there's quite a lot that we can measure. That's just some of the examples that might add some value.
So your tools are not just helping someone who's already experienced, because some of the entrepreneurs are basically saying, but Precious, I don't even have money to actually employ someone. But I am saying to them that SETAs are providing interns for free. Look within your SETAs. But when you are screening your students or the graduate, the interns that you actually going to be taking, consider using these tools, because it's going to help you to make sure that you're getting the right people.
Most definitely, most definitely. We have an assessment tool that I think is 250 Rand that screens learners. It looks at their learning potential, it looks at their numeracy, their literacy. It's a simple tool, but it looks at learnership fit. Even when you're taking on a free resource, rather make sure you can get the best person into your business.
Because it also takes some time to actually teach a person. It takes a lot of time. May I request entrepreneurs that you type your question? We're not going to open the volume because we get a lot of noise feed when we do that. Rather type your question. Another area also that the colleges, I have found resources from, look at the close by colleges, the colleges like NQF and we have, guys, don't worry about Kirsten's tools. We have a link. This has all Kirsten's programs that he runs, but also we'll share the details even after that. We'll update this and put her direct contact. Okay, so I think also sometimes entrepreneurs is because you don't know what is out there. That's the challenge. How can we make tools that are as cheap, as simple? I remember I also used to run a tool that I actually used to do for all my interns that I will get, which was simply for Microsoft testing. But over the years, I've immigrated from free tools that were online to now use tools that Kirsten actually offers, because it was easier for me, because I can manage the results. Because others that are online, even though they are free, the person can try that tool over and over until they get it right, and then they send you the results of what they did maybe on their 10th time. So you really need to be careful when you're using the free online tools, where it's 250 Rand entrepreneurs is just for one. But also, APSA used to run a program for graduate, which is online. I think there are several platforms. I think Vodacom has something similar to that effect. So put the people that you want to recruit and say, if you can give me these results when you have done this, then I will shortlist you. So that it helps you to screen better. It helps you to really build up. I remember when I was recruiting for the IT team that was going to help me, I made them to do an exercise. I gave them the problem to solve. And I only took the ones that responded within time and the ones that actually put more suggestions. So you can play and do different things in your business that can help you to screen the right people. And as we're sharing some of these tools, and some will work, some will not work, but it's about you having a box of different tools that you can use at different stages on your selection of the people that you're going to build a team with.
Can I add something in there, Precious?
Please go ahead, of course, my dear.
So something that I used to do when I also tried to keep costs down from a recruitment perspective was, if I had a position that I was advertising, anyone that applied, I would reply to them with a set question or a set of questions. First of all, lots of people apply for jobs. We know that we have obviously a situation of high unemployment in our country, so lots of people apply. So the people that take the time to fill out the questions already are putting their best foot forward. So that for me was, I get 50 applications, I send you a response. If you come back to me, only 25 people take the care to respond. So that already shortlists and tells me the people that are really interested in my job. And that questionnaire was formatted to ask, so I've explained to you a little bit about competencies. So let's talk about teamwork. If you want to, you can ask competency-based questions to your applicants and see what their response is. In other words, we could ask a question like, here's a problem, how would you solve it? Or if you had to work with a team, what role would you play in the situation? And if they take the time to respond, as I've mentioned, you can tell they're more interested in your role, but you also get an idea of how they would act in a work situation, which is also a very great indicator and really costs nothing.
Absolutely. No, that is great. Thank you so much for sharing that. So what will be your suggestion where to start? So you will come in anytime, Kirsten, if there's any points you want to add. So for me, and please note, guys, I am not an HR specialist. I as much as I did HR within a BCom, because it's one of the mandatory courses that you do at varsity level, what I did at EY was also on corporate services in HR function, gave me more experience, including what I've actually done in my business and also helping other entrepreneurs build their businesses, has been about, that is why for me, I want us, if we're running this, we run it at the practical level, not from theory, because as I said, the textbooks didn't help me to solve the problems I had. So I think where you should be starting as an entrepreneur is to be very clear on how you actually want to grow your business. Do you want to grow your business at what rate? Are you going to every year have double revenue? Because if you're going to have double revenue, it will mean you're going to have to beef up your resources and the tools you're actually using to grow that fast. Generally, business grow between 20 to 40%. The businesses that grow very fast, it will be because you have automated quite a lot of activities at the beginning of your foundation. So you really have to ask yourself, what business model do I need to have in place that will allow me to grow, to support that growth? Your channels, your partners, end. And I think one of the biggest challenges or the biggest area that I failed in my business was I didn't actually think very much about the structure, plus also the right business model that will meet the structure that I was trying, and also the targets that I had set for my business. So when you are not clear, guess what, like anything in life, things just get thrown into you and the challenges. But the step number 2 that I think should actually is to allow you to start grouping the activities according to the 3 core areas that I spoke about earlier, where I said you will have a business administration, business development, and remember, business administration, again, is just corporate service. If you need more guide on how then to structure that, please download the link. Bonolo, please include the link for that. It's also even here, because that then allows you to understand those other functions that we mentioned, which included finance and information technology. But business development is now about reaching out to the market, whereas business administration is very much internal focus. And of course, operations. So when you group those activities, it then also allows you to start creating steps, creating a checklist that will help you to manage the activities. And we also have shared a template that we had built and we use within GAD, you'll see. And that template was our checklist when it comes to administration. Understand though that template is created based on my perception of the risk in my business. But I've also customized it based on understanding and knowing the people who are playing that role. Should I have a different personality or another person in that role, that list might change to some aspects, because I was also using it to manage the individuals that were actually running the business administration for me. So understand that any control or activities that you are building in your business, it's about managing the risk. It's about understanding, should that thing happen, that risk materialize, what will be the cost to the business? So build the administration from the checklist that we're giving you. Start building the things that have happened in your business or your previous experience, and start adding more activities within it, because that will then help you to improve your controls. But the most important is not just making up an activity of list, it's knowing when does that activity needs to actually be done. Is it going to be done daily, monthly, quarterly, or even annually? And such activities, how often? Is it going to be once a year? Is it going to be twice a day? We used to have something as simple as the office manager needed to check the labor relations requirements where the employees register must be signed. That is one of the inspections that Department of Labor does for especially for companies that are registered with skills development for inspection. So I noticed at some point that there was actually some of the people that were not signing on daily basis, but because there was no one who was checking and making sure. So sometimes the control can be there, but if there's no one who's checking for the control, you might as well have not even started with that control. So be careful about setting up controls of which you don't have time to monitor. But when you then create a checklist, you can make the checklist as one of the performance measure. Have you done this? Did you complete? And sometimes others, they will complete and say, yes, I've done it. But if you don't do your random checks, inspection, then you might find that they have not done it. So just be careful on how you actually build up your capacity and the supervisory controls, and make sure that when you have built them, you also check up on that. And the step 4, according to me, also is relating to how long that activity is going to take. Because what you want to establish is to say, does that need a full-time person? Or how much does it cost the business if that person will take 3 hours, 4 hours? Maybe it will have been way cheaper for me to outsource it, give it to a part-time person. But also it allows you to see, if that's the case, what will be the market-related salaries if I get this? And if it's a part-time, then I gain a rate. Is there anything, Kirsten, that you would like to add?
No, not at this stage.
Okay, no problem. Thank you. So guys, please download that. Is clickable. It's on a PDF. You will get this guide when you are done. Just click on that. You will get the checklist. It's going to help you. And it's got all of these things that are under business administration, where you have a human resources, you have finance, you also, those who have my book, the Essential Finance Handbook, they can actually even go to the Essential Finance and start looking at other activities that I've identified and start adding. Those who are my client for Finance Success Program, module number 8, I think. Module number 8 is about setting up a finance function, and it has all the activities and the controls that you will need to have to check up, because it also helps you to craft the job profile and the job description. And those who would like to join us, we currently have been sponsored by a private trust that allows us to run free training and webinars. Please sign up and make sure that you join the group. Bunolo sent the link on everyone, and so that they can join. We're doing it in partnership with AAKASE Entrepreneurs, because that will then also give you to see what are those activities for those who have not managed to buy the Essential Finance Handbook. Okay, step number 5 is also about, if it's a job that is a full-time, then you will need to complete a job profile and a job description. And there is a difference. Kirsten, do you want to explain more in detail what's the difference?
Between a full-time or job?
No, a job profile and a job description.
No. Is there a difference?
There is. I will explain it to you. So a job description articulates in more detail its narrative on what exactly are you doing. And job description is usually categorized in terms of management. It will have, what are you going to do at the planning stage? What are we doing at the execution, at the reporting end? Whereas the job profile just brings the items at a high level. All you want is the skill, the competence, and the role, who you're going to report to, at what level or grade that you are actually in. Okay, so that's the difference. The reason why you create this simultaneously is because the job profile is what you're going to use to do an advert, whereas the job description is what you're going to use now to take through the person on what is it that they're going to be doing in your business. And those are the differences. Again, as entrepreneurs, we have to understand it, because when you then maybe are getting someone to assist you to recruit, you then just give them a job profile. Of course, in other instances, they will ask for a job description because they want to understand in depth, but in general, a job profile will be sufficient. And again, if then the job is part-time, then you have to create a service level agreement that you will actually be using. However, you have some interesting things, Kirsten, that you mentioned on your remote workers. And I love that, to your point, that, remember, I sent you an email and said, I cannot believe you did that, because I just realized that even the people, some of the people that I was working with, including the clients, there were people that just didn't fit the remote worker profile, you know. That was just so crazy. So, Kirsten, please take us through, how did you come up with this? What did you pick up from that? And what have you learned? What are the things that we should watch for as entrepreneurs?
So the remote worker profile is just so pertinent at the moment, because we've seen in the past, I mean, I don't think any of us have, as businesses, gone through what we've experienced in the past 6 weeks. Depending on what kind of business you're in, some of us were completely shut down. Some of us sent home employees and hoped for the best, that they would carry on working. So a remote worker is, it's not necessarily full-time or part-time, but it's someone who's still doing their job, but from home. Let's call it a work from home. And work from home used to be, some moms would work at the office in the mornings and then work from home in the afternoon. The world is moving and jobs are just evolving. I don't know if you've seen, but companies like Google and Twitter and all of them have actually completely moved to a remote workforce. So they are not even having employees come to the office anymore. So we have an assessment called the Remote Worker Profile that was developed as a result of assessing a whole lot of people and determining what constitutes someone who can work from home and perform still as they would as if they were in an office. And the research picked up 8 personality dimensions that work from home people generally possess. So obviously personality is very, very diverse. Everybody's different, but we found that the people who possess these 8 dimensions at a very high level are the best to work from home. So it's things like goal focus, flexibility, work ethic. There's 8. I can't think of all of the 8 right now, but this assessment measures employees or potential employees on these 8 dimensions. And on that basis, you can then decide if the person is suitable to a remote worker role. It's also perfect to assess current employees. So we assess current employees who now have to work remotely, and we pick up that they're low on 4 of the dimensions. Then that focuses our training efforts. We can then train them on the 4 dimensions that they're really low on to improve their ability to work remotely.
Perfect. Kirsten, there was a question for you. Someone said, as a small business, we wear all hats. But if I'm trying to read, Kirsten, can you try to just scan through questions? I can't read it properly so that I can, I don't think I have enough screen. There is a question though. They are asking about how do you match to my company. Please, someone can just reread or
I think I answered that one about matching to the business and the culture and the role.
Okay, perfect. Can you just go through it and see if maybe we have missed any? Because I don't want people not to get it.
Sure, and if there's any questions afterwards, obviously anyone's welcome to ask me questions or email me questions, and I can answer if I have missed anything. I have been going through the questions as we go.
Perfect. No problem. Great. Thank you so much. Guys, we are sharing also links, but even within this guide for HR, we will actually add, please note, this is just generic. We are going to start populating and bringing the articles. I think we linked your article already in our website, Kirsten, the other time, but I think we're going to just try to pull consistently your information because I think this remote worker tool profile how much is it? It was such a small amount. How much did you say it was, Kirsten?
So this assessment's 1,100 excluding VAT.
That does not even cover the cost of recruitment because the average cost of recruitment is usually between 7 to 10% of the total salary that you pay to a person.
Definitely. And if you've got someone who's working at home or your business has to be remote, lots of people are getting rid of office space because it seems like remote is the way of the future. You can save on office space, and if you can get someone that you can trust and rely on to work and deliver from home, well, there's a cost benefit there as well.
Absolutely. So even in my business, I told my staff that they shall never come back. I was supposed to have immigrated to digital remote work environment about 2 years ago. I was ready 2 years ago, and then I chickened out. I guess it took COVID to actually bring me to order, So I'm really of a view sometimes we're afraid of certain things. I think for me, one of the biggest reasons I didn't move as fast was what you mentioned earlier, that sometimes we employ at a lower level, we still want to manage people more closer.
Yeah.
And I think also another challenge that I had was that we used to have a lot of loss of electricity in terms of energy, especially in areas like Soweto and other areas where Black people reside. But we don't usually have it within places like Fourways and so on. So then my employees will have to travel because electricity was more stable in Fourways, and I also had bought a generator. I couldn't buy them the generator at home. So those has been one of the challenges, I think, as a South Africans, that we need to assess in our personal analysis when we're doing a strategy to say, how does this impact my business? What would be the cost? And how do I deal with this cost? Because that is important, because even having remote workers, let's just say you have prepared, you have the right profile, there's still several costs that are actually associated with remote workers. As much as they are no longer traveling, you're going to have to beef up your cost in relation to data. South Africa, data is expensive. You will also need to consider that the risk is now higher, your insurance, because your laptops are no longer in a controlled environment. You're also going to need to ask yourself, does that employee even have a place to stay, especially with the Black community? You see, with Black community, they could be staying with 8, 9 people, and you're running a Zoom training, or there's a meeting with a custom, and there's people behind, especially with the kids being on there. So there's a whole list of things you're going to need to think about and work it through to figure out a way of making sure that as much as you got the right profile, but what's the environment that person works with, and what does that mean in terms of productivity? I remember with Bonolo, she had such an unstable network during the day, to a point that I end up saying to her, then you're gonna work at night. You will tell me when I should call you during the day. Because at the end of the day, it's not about managing a person, it's about managing the output. And I will discuss it in more detail here. So step 6, it's about find a job expert analysis. And you can actually even an HR practitioner, or you can go to people like Kirsten who can assist you to design the core skills that are required for a job profile. And Kirsten has more than 15 guides to help you get started. Kirsten, how much are you charging for this competency development guides that you have there? I know you gave me some. I can't share them with everyone because they were given to me to understand what you're doing, than to distribute, as much as I love giving things away.
So those guides that I sent to you are specific for developing the remote worker competencies. They very recently, we created those. We actually haven't put a price to them. If someone's using the remote worker profile, we would make those guides available at a very, very reasonable cost, probably 250 Rand a module.
Oh my goodness. And you keep that to help you then, because you already have a profile. Now it helps you to scan down on the profiles that you will have done. Wonderful. Thank you so much, Kirsten, for that. Again, I've included the link there. That's going to help. And as I said, the competency framework also help you to know what skill set and what experience is required for that specific level. Because guys, doing a specific work, it also ranges of different levels. There's someone at the junior level, there's someone at a middle management, the supervisory, and also at a leadership level as an expert. So you also need to understand the complexities within some of those things. But one thing that was clear about remote workers is that they are self-starters. They will create the work, so they are more entrepreneurial than a normal typical employee, and that I really liked. Okay, so the online assessment is so I've included another one. So there's quite a lot of tools, but the step 6, after you have worked out your competency framework, you then now have to ask yourself, okay, what are my key performance indicators at the function level, and what reporting tools and templates that are going to help me as a business owner to manage the function. Make sure you don't just manage the person, but manage the function, because the function is also supposed to be driving your corporate strategy. Make sure you focus on measuring what? The output, the results, not just the input. And I think because I'm quite a control freak, that also for me was one of my weaknesses, that at the beginning I measured quite a bit on input than on the results. As a result, I tended to keep people longer than I should have because the results were not coming through. But I also quite developmental. I want to help people. I want to build people. So I'm generally allowing people to just a very long time. But now I'm changing my mind. I'm working on it because, again, guys, the decision we make, we bring our own crap to our businesses in the boardroom. That whatever that we have not dealt with has to be dealt. That is why personal development is important. And then you start developing your and documenting your system as you're building up. Just remember, we are recruiting for categories that have several functions. Sometimes the people or the individuals that maybe you have shortlisted or you have on your pool may not have the experience in all of them, which means you now have to look at what should be the bare minimum I expect. And I found a great link, especially for administration, from Lisa on LinkedIn. Please click on that. And I also found that there are areas where you can get several skills. I got emailed the other day, elensa.com. They are offering business and office management course for 5 days for free, and they will even give you certificate. I had someone that they want some certificate. Yes, there will be people that are giving you certificate there. But there are also several platforms, Kirsten, that you can also share if you know any, that provide free online courses. Google does, LinkedIn does, that will allow you to start building up courses for your team, so that when someone does not have a certain competence, but they have in other areas, there's a developmental plan that, and you start building up those resources and also getting coaches around to build. Please also use consultancy firm. They will help you also to set up systems and control. The point is, entrepreneurs, you cannot afford to screw this up, because if you screw this up, you will not be able to grow sustainable in your business. Scaling means employing people, but scaling also means look at ways to automate. But remember, you cannot automate things you have not documented, things that you don't know how they really work in real life. You automate once you have done your understanding, your knowledge on how that. I mean, I'm making up an example recently because of or remote work arrangement. We never used to have timesheets, especially within the publishing business that I've been running for the past 4 or 5 years. We now have timesheets because it helps me to track what has been done, what is not done, how long it's taking, so that I can see are there any inefficiencies and maybe training requirements that I need, and things like that. I as much as I have a tool to do the timesheet automatically, I cannot actually send that to my staff until I can see that they understand the principle and they know how to use the Excel spreadsheet and they are comfortable in completing them within the time. Then you can implement the online. So you have to make sure that whatever systems that you're building, you understand how, so that when you start specifying, even for an app, whatever app that you want, you are specifying for the app based on how that thing runs. I'm also intending, I used to, about 3 years ago, when I was running the consultancy, I was already doing appointment, all of it online. But later I then moved to be manual. And one of the reasons it was manual, because I felt at the time, the person that I had brought into the business just got freaked out by the system, got freaked out by the fact that there was a manual that was say diary management of the CE, which is myself. There is a whole list of procedures, and I felt maybe she just need to understand first, just that first, and then move to but again, sometimes, as I said, the controls that you put in place, you measure also the cost. So for me, the cost of screwing up my diary can cost me something like 36,000 a day, because I do boards and I work with departments and so I just felt at that point I cannot afford to screw up my diary management. I'd rather go back on being manual than actually continue with automation. Because I had already implemented the automation, but I also realized I was spending a lot of time cleaning it up, accepting and rejecting and responding. I wanted someone to actually take over. So again, always consider what's the cost of the control and why that activity needs to be done, how often, and what's the impact of it if it doesn't work. We're almost done. Kirsten, do you want to add anything? Did we lose Kirsten?
I'm good for now.
Oh, okay, great.
I'm here. I'm good. Nothing to add.
Are there any comments that are there that you have picked up, Kirsten? Or questions? Okay, so let me go ahead.
There's nothing there.
Great, thank you. I can see some client, hello, thank you so much for attending. We are growing, we are building each other here, and I am so grateful. Kirsten, I SMS in the last minute yesterday, remembering when I was getting your content, that I'm actually getting someone's content and I have not even asked it. Thank you so much for making yourself available. So what does it really, HR function actually provide? You are procuring, you're developing, you're compensating, you're integrating, and also you're maintaining. Just understand though that there are several tools and advices and things and processes within those structures. We will not go to that detail for now. All we wanted to make sure is that you understand on what will be the processes for you, but you also understand where the tools, where you need most help, especially building up your team. But you also understand, earlier I was mentioning that even look at the colleges, the TUT colleges, some of the certificate, the kids, they cannot finish without having at least a minimum of 18 months experience. So there is no one who's going to employ those people except us as entrepreneurs. And we should take it as actually as a tool for us to build our country, because we know after 18 months, the big companies take them. I mean, I've heard that so many times, but I've also got to understand that is my role, is to develop. So just take it as a development. That is why you shouldn't feel the pain when someone leaves. Make sure that your trainings that you're providing to the individual, they get recorded. You're no longer doing things manual. I mean, on one-on-one. Even if you're doing a training for someone on one-on-one, record it so that you can just start putting videos of different functions, and then you bring that person to actually come and actually say, oh, just watch that video. That's going to help you to understand what the function is. Guys, even something like this, if you're going to employ someone who's going to be responsible for business administration, even though they are first-year student, they have already covered these things. It's just that they might have not covered it in practical terms. But you can say, here is a video that you should actually be watching. Once you have watched me, tell me, where are you going to start? So that you can see the alignment. You can also see how they actually are working through. I'm going to run through it. I think we're running a little bit out of time. So I think, again, we need to keep in mind that putting your HR function should not be when you're employing someone. It must be on the first day of your business. You should have done this on the first day you started your business. Because remember, you yourself are you are the first employee of your business. You are not your business. You are just a director or a shareholder, and you play those two, which are separate roles. And now when you are now working in your business, you are an employee. So start working also on your job description. What are the things that you are doing, when and how? build it up. So the checklist I was talking about, you can start even building, start documenting that, because again, one of the reasons why our businesses are not sustainable, our businesses are not a going concern, is because we are running businesses as though we're running spaza shops. Whereas these businesses are registered, they are living juristic entities. Should you die as a direct, the business does not die. Should you die as a shareholder, the business does not die. But our black business, especially our black business, they die because I think, I don't even think it's a founder's syndrome. I think we're having an inability on how to scale. We're struggling with the scaling. We're struggling with, how do I build the momentum? How do I build my team? And I think our next session, Krista, I'm going to actually start building up to that. I mean, I was talking about the same thing the other day, that I actually have 4 people that work under me, but they work independently of me. But they still generate revenues for GAD because of the work arrangement I have with them. Some are stakeholders. They still do work for GAD, but they work GAD without even being shareholders, but they bring revenues and activities to GAD. So I think we can talk about that when we're talking about different business models and channel, because it will then allow you to expand your mind that you don't need to always be bringing people just to be employees. You can bring people into your business playing different roles at a different level, and some are providing specific products, some are looking at the whole thing, some I'm using for specific things like editing. I have a whole team, the publishing that we do. We have a whole team where it's fully outsourced. I call Vanessa anytime, who's my publisher, and say, Vanessa, we're finalizing this training manual. Can you go through it? How much time do you have? So it's about understanding which company does what and what is their work arrangement. Can you speak with that person? But remember to honor your word. That is why it's important also to always pushing yourself on expanding your network, expanding the skill that you don't have. I'm involved in another business. They don't have a finance expert, but they are good in bringing me leads. We did an exchange. I did another deal now that I'm planning to build up, where I'm bringing different people for different skills. So with an aim, then I will outsource certain things that I don't want to focus on, but because they're subject experts into it. So we as entrepreneurs have to feel comfortable of what we're good at first, and then start looking for people that we are weak at. I think sometimes we pretend as though we know everything. We don't. No one does. Start reassessing. What is it that I suck at? And me, personally, I love teaching. Whether I'm good at it or not, that's another thing. But I know that when I'm in front of the client, the door has been opened, I'm in a boardroom, I am telling or talking to another CFO or ESG program, and I'm telling them, what do we do with entrepreneurs? They buy my product. I have a 90%, 9 out of 10 will say, yes, Precious, where do we sign for your program? The ones that will say no, it's usually the cost is too high for them, or they think the program is too intense for them. They want an easy thing. They want to tick the box. Again, I have also made a conscious choice that I actually love the fact that they said no, because I believe I shouldn't do something for the sake of doing it. I should do it because it really comes from my heart, and it will then change people's lives. So again, as entrepreneurs, I'm of a view that we need to start really doing self-assessment of saying, what am I good at? What do I suck in? The stuff that I suck in, can I look around and look for people that can sell me when I'm not there? Because guys, to build a business that is sustainable, someone has to talk on your behalf when you are not there. And that is how you build more business. I have worked with Kirsten before. I hope by me sharing the tools and the things, you will go to her website and learn more. She produces articles every week. Her subscription, actually share a link Bonolo for her website. She said, and it's just learning. Remember, where you are struggling is because you lack knowledge and experience in it. It's not because the world is against you. It's because you don't know enough about the problem. know enough about the problem. That is why we are not able to come up with ideas and solution on how to solve it. Anyway, so guys, I'm saying start looking at the laws within HR. What are the laws that apply? Remember, we are running compliance where we will deal with the employer responsibilities under compliance. So those who want to join, please join. I think we've already got 170 something odd, and we're still going to do the screening. The aim was to try to keep it at 100, so we'll see how that goes. And go to Department of Labor. They have tools that also can assist you from employment contract, including how much to pay. Sectoral determinations within your country, your industry is also important to look at. I've also included the link that has guides on how to. It also even covers COIDA, all the other entities that are within Department of Labor and the UIF. One of you guys, actually most of you entrepreneurs have really struggled with this UIF thing. I hope it has been put to the end, especially with COVID, because some of you could not even claim for the benefits that the Department of Labor was making because you are not compliant. I hope you will learn your lesson and say compliance is non-negotiable. Because at the end of the day, entrepreneurs, if we want to hold our politician accountable, we also from our side have to do the right thing all the time. And we can't be saying politicians are corrupt when we ourselves are just stepping on all these laws. Those laws were meant to protect us, but the foundation of those laws is our constitution as a country. So again, look at SARS release employer guide every year. So I didn't want to put a link because you'll find that link is not working the following year. And also other business platforms like Labor Guide is one of my favorite. And a biz community gives you different articles, and that also exposes you on who's providing which tool in which industry, and can that tool solve your problem. But as I said, start listing your problem, start acknowledging what is your problem. I promise you, you will start getting solutions for the things that you need to actually put in place. Thank you, Denise. Remember, HR function and plan and activities are your ticket out for you to get out of your business. You want to build a business where you are creating a jobs, but not creating an employment for yourself. Because if you create an employment, you're going to be a slave. Actually, you're going to be worse than your boss because you work 24/7 until you drop dead. And you do that broke, you'll be broke, basically. That is signing up being broke. So you're going to really need to think hard. Think about that value chain thing I was talking about. Think about the creating channels, partners, and build up the team maybe from that first, and then later build up the employees. And there's so many tools for even outsourcing certain services and stuff. And I guess one day we will be able to share more. Okay, conclusion. Guys, the guide that you were asking for is also in there that we did for last week, where we're explaining the overall of business administration. As I said, today we're focusing mainly on HR. The next one we're going to do is the legal function within part of business administration. And we will be releasing quite a lot of the articles, the videos, and also send us what are your challenges. I can see that someone is saying that, Kirsten, HR is my problem. I think that's Patrick. Please, Patrick, type what's your problem exactly. We can actually share and build up. Follow Kirsten's business on LinkedIn. We will also share on our website and also on our newsletter weekly. And everyone that has registered, people have struggled by using a new tool. I think we had about 75 registered for this webinar, but people couldn't get in, they couldn't hear. But the audio after that has been quite good. Guys, thank you so much for your time. As I said, the next one will be a legal. The date will be confirmed because I think there's a clash on our office. Please post through your questions. What has been your challenge exactly in HR? Maybe you could have brought someone to your business without having done the list first of the task that person needs to bring. I'm glad you actually have joined here, because now you have that checklist that's going to give you. And I promise you, even if it's a small business, those activities can cover the office administrator a whole lot. But obviously, with the remote workers, you can remove and add some of the items. Kirsten, do you want to add anything?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, my dear.
I just want to say thank you, Precious, for including me. You're doing some really amazing work. I speak more as an entrepreneur than someone who's here to, market what I can offer you. Running a business is not for the faint-hearted, and having our human capital or HR is often a big challenge. You're not alone. We've all faced hiring the wrong people. So yeah, don't get despondent. I think the stuff that you're doing here is really, really brilliant. It's so great to be helping fellow entrepreneurs, and really I appreciate the platform. If there's any questions, I'm available. And I agree with what you say. As business and entrepreneurs, we need to help each other. We need to grow each other, and partnerships and that sort of thing. That's really how we're going to grow and create jobs. So yeah, thank you, and brilliant stuff. Really great to be part of it.
Thank you so much. No, we shall invite you when we are mainly focusing on remote workers within the HR, and also link up your articles, the stuff that you are doing, because some of these tools are just cheap. It's just doing it online and that's it. One of my clients, Mapanga, is saying, I employed myself and I can't seem to be able to fire me.
That's a good one. We all have that problem.
So you need to start analyzing why. There is a possibility that you could be employing too far low than the competencies of the level of service you are looking for. And for me, that was one of my biggest mistakes. Number two, maybe you need to consider employing, having a partnership with someone who is same level as you, but does not mind doing the work, so that it allows you to start letting go. But it also means you have not built enough controls to delegate. And the last one, your quality management system is not working if you have to be the one who actually has to do the work. So for me, the way I have done it to fire myself has been, I started saying, okay, which things that I love doing, that if I were to do them every day, God forbid, I will die young. I will be so, people will think, she's 90, she looks like she's 20, because I'll be happy. And I love teaching. So I said to myself, for facilitators, I will allow another CA same level as me, but I will train and coach that facilitate first. So they will attend this number of training so that I can manage the quality and the content on how that person present the work. Because at the end of the day, teaching is not about content, it's about context. Now, so that is how I've managed to fire myself. COVID has actually fired me also again, because now I don't have to run what I've been doing, going from one province with NEF. I can actually record all the trainings now, the duplication. So I no longer need to actually get someone to run. I can run. But what I've then done, I am now building up a team that are going to run different other programs within Finance Success, and I created a new product. So I think how you fire yourself, guys, it's not just about firing yourself. It's starting to choose which things I want to do, which things I know I'm the best at, and which things I'm not good at. And if those things I'm not good at, let them bring someone. Negotiate with that person on how the pricing will work. Make sure, obviously, you don't undercut yourself. Paula is saying, oh, that was helpful. Thank you so much. And then I think there's Paula there asking a question. How do I get material of previous sessions? We will just include the link. Bonolo, you just give her a link to download previous session. We also have a YouTube. Make sure when you go to YouTube, you subscribe, because when you subscribe, it then asks you to do notification. So when we are loading, you can then also get a notification that we've just loaded the content. Kirsten, if you do have videos, let me know, because then I can also add your videos on our channel for any additional support that you can actually provide. Let's say, okay, I have already answered you. Patrick is saying, I will list all my challenges in HR. Please, guys, do add all your lists. I have a group. Let me check my group. Last year, that group had about 90. It's a WhatsApp group, about 90 HR practitioners in the country, represented in all provinces. So I have all the solutions in the country to solve your HR challenges, because the HR challenges are the foundation of that is why we are not able to empower and build up a business that is sustainable, because it's a capacity issue. So please, you join also. Bonolo sent them the link for Finance Success Program here, WhatsApp, so that they can join the WhatsApp group that we have, because then we can have a discussion, a further discussion on the HR challenges that people can actually post there. And guys, we are available for support. We are here to build you, but as we're building that, we want you also to start building the support around yourself. You have to expand your network. For you to grow, you're gonna need to look at the partners. You're gonna look at what do you have. You're gonna start pulling up a toolkit of where to find the resources when there is what problem. And that is going to help you to grow. I mean, those who have attended the NEF trainings, I see there's people in Cape Town. I told them that I have 6 or 7 coaches that I call when I have different problems. Not all of them I see all the time, but there's ones that I contact every 3-4 years when I'm stuck. And they then assist me and help me to have my clear mind on what and how. So don't think a coach, a mentor is someone that you're going to meet every day. Don't think it's someone that you're going to engage with. I have mentors like T. Harv Hecker. I met him once in my lifetime, but the values and the books it does, the things I go to his website when I'm a little bit depressed and so when I need motivation, Les Brand does it. So you're going to need to start thinking about, when there's this problem, where do I go? So that you don't get stuck. As an entrepreneur, you cannot afford to lose one day of your productivity life, because it means your goals are not going to be achieved. Guys, is anything else? I'm just running through. Don't worry about cutting. We continue recording. That is why we will save and email you the link for the video and the audio to those who want audios. And also use the platform. Use the platform to ask the question. Don't worry about, don't try also to make it perfect, guys. Just wing it. Say exactly what you feel and think, because that assists us to be able to find the right partner, the right person to assist you. Okay, so Noxie, or add me on, okay, Noxpati, I think you are on the NEF, but I will share it on the group. We're also going to be building up even apps, find people like Kirsten who are developing guides and apps and things. So we really want to take this remote arrangement head on. And Kirsten, if you have certain ideas or problems that you think you can solve, I will share those problems. Maybe you can run an article on those, and then we can then continue building our country. This country is not going to be built by people who are foreigners. It's going to be built by South Africans who see the area where there's problems to be solved, and we stand up and solve them ourselves. And we're entrepreneurs. We don't complain. We say, bring it on. Where to from there? Yeah? Okay, guys, I am done for today. Thank you so much. Okay, someone else, the NEF clients. Great, thank you, guys. No problem. We will share the link. Thank you so much. I think I'm done. Bonolo, please talk and indicate to me if we have missed anything. Lesedi's question is that what is your take about HR performance during this epidemic period? Oh, I think it depends. Okay, first of all, my understanding of what is happening with COVID-19, and I'm so grateful that I got exposed to this on the first 2 weeks when we had a lockdown. Guys, I had like a mental shutdown kind of thing. Remember, we have a program that we are running with NEF. We had a program that we are running with PG Glass. We had a program that was set with the trust, the private trust. All these programs, some of them had already been paid, fully paid for us to run. Now we can't run, but yet we still have to pay salaries. And. I think the biggest, the highest issue with COVID is your mental state. If you sort out your mental state, what goes on in your own brain, guys, it will almost be like you're opening the doors of heaven. I don't want to brag to you guys. We have never been this busy. The moment I unlocked that, the moment I overcame my mental stuckness on what then. I mean, I think towards the end of the second week, I then started saying, you know what? It means God is just directing me to do more publishing. Great. I have all the time in the world to stop writing. The moment I started reviewing my Essential Finance book, because it's supposed this year to actually also be released, my mindset, because for me to write, I need to be empowered to pour the knowledge and the information. I can't be empty. And for me to think about the problems, the questions you guys ask, the WhatsApp groups, all these things, and hearing you cry on the challenges that you have, it just gave me such inspiration of saying that, you know what, out of everyone else, for heaven's sake, I started actually counting the things I have that I'm better off than most people. I'm a CA. I have more than 20 years of experience. I sit in 12 board positions that include also public sector, which will never close. Even if they were to close the GSE, those will never close. You know, I started listing all the things. I think sometimes as human beings, we are not listing the gratitudes, things that we should be gratitude for. As a result, we then get stuck in the negativity and what is going on. So the moment I started listing all these things, it then just helped me to just say, okay, I can't be despondent. I can't feeling depressed and. So start maybe building up tools like that. As I said, Les Brown also and other people that motivate. And I started running, I started walking, I started being physically active, and less of the TV and the coach and the tweet and the social media. I don't post anything personal on social media and tweets and all that, because I also feel it's just too much negativity. As an entrepreneur, you have to keep your mind pure. So when I started doing that, things started turning around. My old client, who was giving me 3 clients, indicated they want to give me 7 more. I returned back to the other clients and said, can I do the running of the stuff online that you're expecting me to do? And so then I was comfortable. And guys, I don't want to lie to you. I don't want to sound as though I'm bragging. I have, during this period, I have signed a 6-figure contract that I'm waiting for a purchase order as we speak right now. So you're gonna have to be 100% in control on what goes in your head. And because I'm a spiritual person, praying helped me a lot. So find your source, find some of you guys, ancestors and stuff like that. There's no wrong or right. Do with what works for you, but find a center and be comfortable about being who you are and what you stand for, and just take yourself out of the system. Lesedi said, I see with government maladministration which shows incompetence. I don't know if I need to say anything, Lesedi. I understand where you're coming from, But let me say this, some of it is not because of incompetence. It's also because South African problems exist in different economies, and they are not the same. And this government went into power thinking they're gonna solve everyone's problem. And that is one of the biggest challenges that they even have as we speak right now. So, and because they wanna please everybody. You see, countries that have had economical, drastic economical change had to go with a very strong non-democratic approach. And our country is very democratic. The approach is very democratic. So I really feel sometimes as people, South Africans, we don't really understand. And the day you're going to understand what I'm explaining is the day you're going to read your IDP in your municipality. The day you're going to read your provincial economic and development. The day you're going to read the national department, the policy and the white paper of the national department that you are focusing on in terms of even DTI and economic and development national department. Come back to me and tell me, how is it even possible that we are where we are as a country? So please, guys, take yourself away from people's comments, the negativity. As much as ANC has not taken us to where we wanted to be, I am doing what I'm doing today as a Black girl coming from a township who could not even speak a proper English because I went to Zulu English kind of environment. There is so much that has been done. I probably would have not been where I am if it was not for programs that saw my intelligence beyond my communication skills. And I used to brag about it when I was at varsity, saying that people that we had that were in our classes, we had gone to Model Cs, we had not. And I used to say, no problem, we're going to see each other in the notice board, because I knew one of my names would be on the top class. So I also, having traveled in the UN, the work that I do at DECO, and being comfortable that there are times that my language might actually be seen as though she's not smart enough, but having traveled has allowed me to expand my mind and think that's about the person's views, because that person, maybe that's how it's their own inferior issues. Because when you are in the UN, you're speaking with different people, and those people, as they are speaking, they will put the words in the middle that is not English. And I'm comfortable with that. So I'm saying, guys, don't take what is transpiring in most, especially within the broad media, and take it on face value. There is way more. And most of those things are generally, our media reports negative things. Keep your mind pure. If you want to know the story and the insight into it, go to that department, to that minister, and make your own assessment and your conclusion. I'm so glad one of these media companies are closing down, because they've been polluting our minds to a point that we can't think for ourselves. We need leaders like yourself as entrepreneurs who actually gonna read and make their own assessment. So when I say to you guys, when we're doing a strategy, go and do your pestle analysis. I need you to understand what's the political, what's the economical. You can't make and earn a serious money and build a business when you have not done those things. And the way you're gonna do that is to make your mind about what you are reading and what it means, and then build up your businesses. Okay, thank you so much. Someone is saying to afford. Oh, okay. Guys, can I go now? I am done. If there's no more questions, I see people are still commenting. Perfect. Thank you, guys. I really appreciate it. Don't worry that you might have lost us some time. Don't stress about that. We'll be posting shortly, but we'll also be posting courses that are accredited, because we have seen that some of you want them to be accredited. No problem. I just don't believe in accreditation, because you see, as much as I've gone to the business school and I still read business books, majority of the business books that are in the textbooks have not solved the problems I have. My problem have been solved because I believe in continuous education. I believe that if I am struggling with something, it's not because of the circumstances, it's because I don't know enough. So thank you so much, guys. That's it. I'm done. I don't have any more comment. Someone is saying the accelerator program, they said we have more than enough accelerator programs, guys. I will share some of those. There is thousands. There's a program right now running in Cape Town providing mentors. I am TUT, UJ, even universities where I'm a visiting lecturer. And guys, I promise you, there is enough programs. What we have seen is that people that join those programs, they don't take them serious because you guys are directors and shareholders. You do not have accountability. You don't realize that your failure is because of you. You point the finger at somebody else or something else. And, I used to say, entrepreneurs, they like ANC so much. It's in the first list when they are failing. The government is not supporting. You're an entrepreneur, you're not supposed to be looking at the government for solutions. You're supposed to look within yourself. What is inside of you? The moment you live within what is inside of you, you will start attracting the right people in your space to elevate you. I promise you. The moment you start living your own truth and being honest and have an integrity, you're gonna start building. And it doesn't have to be perfect, which is another thing. As entrepreneurs, we wanna build stuff that is perfect. Hey, I have used softwares, not just one, several software that will have bugs, but I had paid for it. I will complain and say, please fix the problem. I mean, I usually make the example of Pastel. Pastel, for example, the bugs 15 years ago, but Pastel, as much as it was developed in South Africa, it got sold to an international company. Stop trying to make things perfect. Launch a beta system or a bare minimum, but make sure that it's economical viable and it meets your cost. And as people request more, you then add. As people request more, you then add benefits. Okay, guys, I think I'm done. Oh, someone was asking, Kirsten, you still here? Lesed was asking, how do you fire yourself? But also, Kirsten, share how do you motivate yourself? Did you also experience the mindset issues coming through in terms of your mental state? And also even the family end?
So, similar to yourself, well, I can't say that it hasn't been a very trying and tough time over the past 10 weeks. Some days I think everybody else in the business world has gone to sleep and I'm the only one selling and no one's recruiting. And I've had days where I felt quite despondent. But you know what? You got to get up every day. You got to exercise. You got to stay true to yourself, have integrity, and just keep, as I said, being an entrepreneur is not easy. It's not for the faint-hearted. So, just remaining positive through this time, and we have to be innovative as well. So, we can't be stuck in old ways. As the world changes, the world of work changes, so do we as businesses. And if we can pivot and innovate, then we'll survive. And also not to, even my business, we've had to put people on a temporary layoff. Sometimes you get embarrassed and, you think, well, we must be doing something wrong. We've got to do what we got to do to make sure our business survives in 6 months' time. That's really, from my perspective. So it hasn't been an easy time for us, just given that this business is quite new and getting out of the starting blocks. But as long as we keep doing what we know is right and following what we've always done and good business practice, I think we'll all be okay.
Oh, thank you so much. That is great, Kirsten, for sharing that. The WhatsApp group of finance, drop us a link, no problem. They said we will even include it on our newsletter, and also subscribe on Kirsten's website, because you send in them weekly, right? Your articles, Kirsten, you send in them weekly, right?
So the articles I post mostly on the LinkedIn pages, and then anyone that subscribes, we do newsletters, but most of the content is actually on LinkedIn, on our company page on LinkedIn, and then I do newsletters to anyone who subscribes as well.
Okay. By the way, we're still using the the company that you sold, we're still using them for our recruitment.
Okay, yes, for the background checks.
Yes, for the background checks. Yeah, we still actually are paying the. Remember, you had set up like a deposit arrangement and some thinging, so where you have an account, so they're still using exactly the same system you're using. So people buy system entrepreneurs. So let's focus and work on the work and push on systems on daily basis. Set up a time where you are putting system, maybe once a week, you know what, for 4 hours on that day, that is what I'm working on. Just listing what needs to be done and how it needs to be done. Guys, thank you so much. We are done. There's no more questions. Everyone is grateful for your time, Kirsten. Thank you so much, my dear. Goodbye, everyone.
Putting me the time as well. Much appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.